Reframing Mindset podcast, where I clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day.
Okay, welcome back to the Fairman podcast. And this episode is kind of saying that, yeah, if you know me, Joe, I say, the farmers using, I guess with the family, the grandma, race food, all this stuff. But I said, that race car is like, well, the videos now, so, and funny enough, um, that the blessing in disguise. Like it's a lot of things. A lot of blessings are stuff from those times that I'm looking now not to share with you. Like for example, you know me coming up, crime is one of those things in life. You have to listen to that crime. If you have to listen to it, you realize that crime was one of my things coming up. All these stuff. And if you know going to high school, in during my time when I tried, most times it's embarrassing school, no class, no communication. After I went to the, uh, went through the stuff that they use to actually I realized that they have a tear tissue, a tissue tear, that stuff. Could have called a tissue box. So, me crying out always something, and it's like, yeah, I said, coming out of poverty and all this stuff, they have there's one thing to say, why the people are talking to, come out from yeah, so, crying is nothing. Crying is going down nothing. Like, more wise nothing. I don't know, that's the funny thing about after coming over, stuff like that. Like people always say certain things like crying in my Quran. Like, the person is real. The stuff coming up. But sometimes you're blessed at some point. You're reaching further, reaching further, reaching further. Like for example, now when I cry, I could actually use this tissue. Like, pull out a tissue, then my tear and all these stuff. If I use this in school, probably the signature tissue box. And people, what a person that I'm trying to enjoy the tears and all this. How often is that thing? You know that this stuff exists. This stuff exists. But like these are the stuff you're gonna realize that coming out, you realize that you're underrated. You're listening God listening in earth to you. Like, um, for someone like me, this is something very valuable from my client's spirit and guarantee you. Good up guarantee you. Hey, coming from where I'm coming from there. Guarantee you. It's in out. That's what it's in out. It's in a thing. It's a different stuff. It's just first year stuff. So, just that. So, grateful for this. And also, I will talk about career as I love to. But you see me getting this tissue and you're like, okay, now it's okay for you, yeah, doing anything around it. So that's it. The podcast is coming up more. And these are some of the stuff that during my university days. that if you actually know, there will be things that are known. And what happens is that if you transition to a high, that's the point where after example, that the university days is very anti the high school days. The high school days is rough and all these stuff. But the university days, you find your fit, like you become who you want to be, and you find you go through all of that to actually find your fit. So in the in the real life, you're obviously trying to implement all these stuff into the real world, into the real world. That's the difference. You're trying to implement these stuff into the real world, but it's not it's not as seamless as you think. Like for example, most at the time it's just for me to start a full shirt of clothing. That is actually majority of the stuff. That majority most of the stuff just doing full shirt of clothing and all these stuff. Before I can always recommend those with a t-shirt to guide them through the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trying out on the streets and but so that's the funny thing about about everything where the like it's hard to when you actually go out in the real life realize that the university is really a great experience. And even we are in the university. We go to during my time, my friends took our program, they went to different places. So my experience would be like that time, what they like the first real experience and all this stuff they did. I know with my time with Apple, yeah, the first real experience is this right, but it's a different, it's a different, the same experience, but um, what happens is that in the real world time, like there's one thing to do this stuff with people up there to be like, oh yeah, it's supposed to have, but in the university days or in high school days and all this stuff, we're in the confines of the institution is built, and all these things are there to protect you to say, okay, yeah, you're living this life, and if for some reason you fall short, or because you know the privilege of it in university, if you fall short, you can actually go up and do you can fall back. You have something to fall back on. If in what happens now, you actually do this, you try to do this stuff in the real world, you actually realize the rules, like these stuff are easy. Like I go there, like my time in university, I'll be like, oh, doing yoga stuff, and be like, oh, do this um, we are trained to speak on all this stuff. If you know and try and do it, I'll be like, yo, what the hell are you doing? And all these stuff. And what happens is that you're gonna realize that coming out of college, these stuff are what you find. That the things take time. Just like for example, this podcast. This podcast is a luxury. But in reality, you see people that are doing farming, cutting food, and all these other things. Fight for like all these struggles to say that hey, these are the reasons. You're just fine in the background. These of all these struggles that people that many people and behind coming out. So coming out. Um, and what so with everything that you see, even your part, so like there's something first, like for example Ghana is a black the very tissue that come convenient in the fact that business. But as a there are better solutions, sometimes that's the point about coming up and all these things. They're going to be they are very better solutions. They are very they are way better solutions than this. They are way better solution than this. But I think that when once you leave the university or all these stuff, you don't realize that it's hard to actually do these stuff just in your real life. Like, for example, you're coming up and you're like, oh, you're 5 years and all these stuff. And it's a lot of things right now. Like right now, you don't just want to access it. Like, the, the some of the stuff I implemented, I'll be able to do one of them. I work at the was speaking how it sounds and what it works. Most of the words about that way, I could not even get out. So who knows, the things, um, I like this now, but at the same time I want to do the work and this stuff. So what would be the best, um, you see I go to work on this stuff to see a different, like for example, I get some more experience, more knowledge and all this stuff, and then you try to implement it in my things again, and then I realize that it's not as easy as it seems, and this stuff, it takes a while with everything, So that's the point when we're coming up here, with everything. If you see someone, like for example, living that day life and deal with them, deal with everyone restoration and all this stuff, because the better you go, the more, it's not the fact that that's the thing about we like regular color. We don't think, we don't think like it's not something the reality is here, but the person kind of accept your reality that's based on how we are, how I am, and then we just know, and then after we realize, go out and take something like this to say, oh, there's tissue there, like there's tissue, back in 90s, I experienced being there for a while, after but just, oh, we have tissue there, like, funny enough, talking about experience, funny enough, we got to come in, and I gonna have this, that embarrassing thing going to school, so, next thing again, we gotta go to school, and you have things like, so like, if, for example, what if I was crying, like, what if something embarrassing happened to me, and be like, oh, yeah, if I'm crying, and then not only if I'm crying, but the big nose, all these stuff coming out, like lot of stuff, and maybe if I was cold or stuff like that, and a lot of stuff, and go coming on, it's like a work experience coming on, like, and it's like, and it's funny, coming up. See that experience with you, I have the woman, I was like, these are serious stuff. Without the girl, and I was like, oh, his nose now pulling up. So, hey, if I were to tell you, you can't, not carry around, you can carry. But if you have something like one of these stuff can save something. Save something. But, the thing about it is that me coming up, that's the funny thing about me coming up with my family. Hey, I could actually go out and buy you stuff and be like, hey, so I can try and do stuff. Let me go out and just get these stuff. And I was like, yeah, but at the same time, that's not, that's, they would actually need, these stuff I call love would be coming out of stuff like that. These stuff would be love to like, it's like, for example, you see iPhone and everything like that. Funny enough, the the that the phone is kind of the least of the issue but the principle of, of the stuff, the principle of the stuff. So like if there's an issue of where there's always that person is like, oh, you can get your solutions to the person is actually to say, this was actually how we are. And that's the funny thing about the dopamine detox, where we realize that, this was how we actually are without taking no stimulant, no for no, there was in a small place and be like, oh, yeah, this is how we actually are, this is who we actually are. And then, funny enough, we reach this far to say, hey, we have things like t-shirts stuff. And at the time when we record all these stuff, we talking about AV, this and I was talking about dopamine detox and all these stuff. Hey, this thing wasn't at point. This thing was not even just say okay because I'm not a kind of supply. You don't get this from my peers and all this. Not most of this stuff was not in my realm of thought. So that's it. That's the funny thing about coming up and all these things. The dopamine detox is really something. The dopamine detox is really something because you're just coming up, you're just not using a signal and be like, oh yeah, this is who you are. This is who you are at this point, and this this is what I want. This is what I want. And the time when you actually make those goals and everything like that. And that's the funny thing about episode we are supposed to be a location. All this stuff. In reality, most times I'm listening to all this stuff. I'm basically at the wrong place. I'm always at the wrong place doing the wrong thing. And then slowly but surely the goals is just coming. It's just coming and slowly building it. And it's like, oh, what happened? Funny enough, you have to realize that those stuff are reality. Like for example, you have things like people at this Amazon shopping seamlessly. I get the credit card and all these stuff and all these things. Hey, these things weren't were there all along. That's the funny thing about this podcast or stuff like that. You're gonna realize that these stuff were there all along. Just you need to do the gaming channel and everything like that. You're gonna realize that hey, these stuff were there all along. And over time is not the fact that the thing changed, it wasn't there, it's just that we get better at doing it. And all of that starts by the core thing of actually just reinforcing who you are, reinforcing local and to say, okay, this is who we are, and sadly enough, that's our reality. That's our reality. No matter how we try to mask that, that's how we naturally are. And then we actually realize that, oh, that's how we naturally are. There are things, you realize that, oh, there are things there for you that caters to who you are and all these things. So, that to say that, hey, if you always want to work on that and stuff, you can work on it. At the same time, if you're not acknowledging who you are presently and stuff like that, funny enough, the probability of you even finding the solution like hey, if you trying to you have this tissue, hey, yeah, so like you have tissue bags, but you have rugs. Today, can I use rugs? Can I use rugs? But you know, tell you what the experience in the bus, right after coming on was nose knot and everything like that. If I was when I was using the rug, even the rug would fill. I thought the rug would fill. That's how bad it was. I don't know if I was trying or what. But like yeah, there was a lot of experience coming with the school. I was like, yo, Even that will be good. So like this, I use this, and this was very convenient. Like this was new for me. It all says premium facial tissue. It all says facial tissue. So knowing that if you are a person that cries and stuff like that, there's something that they're specifically for that situation, specifically for that situation, and can be. So, fun, so back to the saying was that, funny enough, in the high school days, those that would be this anti the university days in the sense that the way in our university days that even though they kill us in the high school days about those stuff. In the university days, you're just a step back. It's a matter, the same issue is there. The same issue is there. But you just you have the freedom of becoming who you are. And after that, you have to realize that you find your group, you find your group. Like, oh, that was people actually there that actually out of your core group. That's what in our high school days. The core group that you go there, the whole population. Yeah, the core group after knows you and be like, knows all these words and be like, oh yeah, they use they use it. Like, they go to university, you have the same thing, but the but it's found again. But now in the adult years, you're just a grade. And to tell you now, if I were to go down to do that, so I put someone trying like me, a freedom facial tissue, purchasing that would solve your problem. That would just like if one of the episode, previous episode, I could I would see something like going to the doctor. And that depends on what you when this what we YouTube video and all this stuff. There's a lot of recommendation they say the first thing to do and all this. So it's like um so me now telling you that okay, getting a facial tissue will solve all your children needs and all this stuff. The funny stuff about all these things that the thing about it is that if you're the thing about the dopamine is that you'll be like, okay, I'm a person that try to be this person, a person you tune in and see, okay, now I know the premium thing, facial tissue exists. I could have to go out and spend and be like, oh yeah, let me get this now for this situation and then for this exam my tears and all this. And funny enough, when you actually go out and try to find the tissue thing for your tears. Because you have rugs, you have toilet paper, all these stuff. You have paper, paper towels and all this. All these stuff can use to dry your tears and all this stuff. So that's one thing I talk about. That the episode I talk about. Is you can use a lot of stuff for different things. And I think this would be an example of things that we thought were useful becoming useful. Yeah, there's a watching the first where people coming up and be like, oh my god, and then pull out the tissue and be like, hey, those things actually work. Hey, those things actually work. Hey. So that's the funny thing about we in the third world and we watch this stuff on TV. Just like for example, I watch Good Times and I used to hey, the Good Times, the Good Times, and stuff like that. And if you're coming up from a poor time and all this stuff, these things are actually good shows to reinforce your community. To say, okay, yeah, I relate to this show, and I relate to this show because this was one of stuff coming up and all this stuff. But what happens is that these stuff, just like me when I was just coming up and watching all these YouTube videos, and then I'm coming up there, people like, oh, yeah, Tesla is the thing and all these stuff while I'm taking taxes, still taking taxes and all these things. So, funny enough, if you see me living the life and all these stuff, is the funny enough, the me watching the YouTube video was not wrong. Just like in the high school days, the program talking about all these stuff and all these stuff would not be wrong and all these stuff. But funny enough, you can have to realize That's the funny thing about the dopamine detox. With everything in your life, it's just not your time. That's actually just not you. That's not you. You just don't want to be the photos and all these stuff and realize, oh yeah, that's actually not it. You know, if you're also thinking all these stuff are actually not us. And it, it takes you going through the experience and realize that, oh yeah, because for example, good. At the point where you get a CA degree and all these stuff, and getting a go to the procedures thing, and people are like, oh, taking your skills, like, and like, with those experiences that you to say, oh, wow, wow, like, that's actually, that's actually, in our, in our face. I was like, oh, no disrespect, it's like, oh, that's actually how you see stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, it realize, it puts you, it shows you, oh, yeah, that's how you are supposed to see me and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, now we established that the more you have to be like, oh, that's how we have to accept. We don't go, you have the two choice, the two lane of saying, oh, I can change and keep to go and try to be this person. Or I can be like, yo, that's actually not it. And 9 times out of 10, I can chuck him up on all these stuff for after a while, just that mentality and all this stuff. We're gonna go back to prime. We're gonna go back to prime and all this stuff. And then after take you realize that most people flying out the funny enough, it took my family means again to say, yeah. Funny enough, we are third world and tough enough now. I have 63 years and all this stuff. And I see a person coming flying, the first world person flying and is very kind and very soft and all these stuff. And they come and they live a somewhat rougher life, you know. It's like, yeah, they just chill more and be like so cheery. It's like, oh, the person's so big, and it's like, yeah. And it's like that's funny. That was actually funny to say, yo, sometimes and the funny thing I was coming out of politics, yo, sometimes hear me complain about it. Just like how you can complain about and then yeah, my grandma just say something like, yeah, what are the surprise? You know, and she always say something that, hey, she know about slavery. And I used to, I was like, yo, hey, she is not wrong. She is not wrong that way. She comes from slave time, so hey, I have nothing to cry about. But at the same time, you know, bro, they have the tissue. They have the tissue. They have the tissue thing. So if you're a person that out there so, crying and all these stuff, this is a tool that was specifically made for this situation, for this situation. And when you're coming out of poverty, you're gonna realize that you're gonna use some stuff, you're gonna use some rag and all this stuff. Then you're gonna realize that too, they have stuff like this. And these are the things you're gonna realize coming up where, if, for example, I talk about the using the various stuff, the people living that because you are a bit busy and all these stuff with the cars and all these stuff work because you know it's not doing these stuff slowly but surely. I was it's simple stuff that I was taking way before I was using money on all these things. Perspective experience using money to just using these simple stuff to the best of my ability to say that when I actually start to spend, I use them to the max. I use them to the full version of it and say, okay, this stuff I value. When I finish using it, it's a better stuff that I'm actually doing it. Just like if you have various issues and all these stuff there, you there's a better thing like you're a specialist and all these stuff for people doing it. Hey, you're um, just like for example, with doctors, we have simple doctors that general and there's actually stuff that better things each places each places that you go. And you're gonna realize that how the things that we say okay, yeah. We come up and be like, oh yeah, first. And that's the funny thing about coming up. I don't realize that one man just these stuff coming up are trigger to somebody right now that this thing, premium facial tissue, I didn't mention it or stuff like that. There's someone right now will just laugh and be like, yeah, in real life, it's just a character, and be like, yeah, go get a facial tissue. Go get a facial tissue. And that will just deal with the transpiration. Like, oh, yeah, that's the, that's the thing where, so, slowly but surely, with everything, with each life. It takes time for you to just take your time and just um, um, establish who you are. Then you actually realize that there's a whole thing set out for you. There's a whole thing set out for you. Um, and because what will happen is that you're gonna go out and see everything. You're gonna actually go out and see every single thing in the world. You're gonna see drinking, and all these stuff, gambling and all this stuff. At this point, there could be a reality where all these stuff are relevant at some point. But you're gonna realize that when you actually want to build your life is not that. Your life is not. You're a person who just want to try. They want to, just like, hey, 9 to 5. There's somebody right now that put this allowing the 9 to 5 lifestyle. I'm out 9 to 5 this year, and I'm like, oh yeah. It was 9 to 5 times for the thing. But hey, um, starting the business is what we want to do. So we were the business first. We have the funds like that and all these stuff. So if you see a successful business will be coming out already. Yeah, was this from back in the days. We weren't this we it was with each progress we weren't this rich. You see us living each things simple stuff that made us unexpected, unexpected, unexpectedly living the life, and we didn't realize that oh we reached the life, and and so simple, so simple stuff like this, having the tissue. Someone right now seeing crying as me and all this stuff again, I call you. Oh, a tissue, bro. A tissue can actually just come in and drop all the tears. And what would be like an embarrassing situation is not as embarrassing as it was. And all these things. Yeah. Yeah, these are the funny things coming up. These are the funny things coming up over. It's like a podcast. Now, podcast is, in the real life, you have the party and all this stuff. Yeah. Podcast is our, podcast is our thing coming up. The other things I do, we actually want to do those other things. The podcast, that that is our so the more we can maximize our podcast days, our gaming days, the better it is. The better it is. The other stuff are there, nothing is wrong with those stuff. If we can do those stuff in moderation. Just like for example, if I were to become say I go and be a drinker, did just like the person who's going to high school and senior section. Would you know, do you know that if I were to drink, when I'm drinking, the same people are going to say something like, oh, you can't afford your liquor and all these stuff, like, hey, you're drinking this stuff again. And it's like, wow, wow. So that's the funny thing coming up and all these stuff. You see this, for example, a full version of life and all these stuff. There's critiques each way. There's critiques each way of people coming out and saying the same thing. Like critiques are saying, oh, if you were the nerd, say you're gonna be the nerd and say, okay, I'm gonna drink to become cool and all these stuff. Those same people is gonna drink to and say something like, oh, do you know you can't handle your liquor? And it's like, oh wow, wow. So I'm out here with the cool people out there so drinking and all these stuff. But at the same time, they're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. We can't hold the liquor. is that those are stuff you're gonna realize coming up here, be like, oh, no matter where you go, if you're a giant, you're going to be. You cannot you cannot run from who you you are. You are that person. So you have to just reinforce, get the things to reinforce who you are, reinforce the things that you are, and stuff. So that's this thing about these episodes where you know, if you're a person that naturally out there is soft and all these things, hey, you have things that you can actually go out and be like, oh, there's a tissue there, there's a tissue there that you can go out and purchase and very and what would be something something that people would not use to say, oh, okay, yeah, it's a bad person and all these stuff and they will take that as a negative to say, okay, because I'm so bad, the poor people are drinking and all this stuff. If you were to go there and drink, the same person that call a bad will say the same thing like, oh, you can't go there and liquor. The same people go there and say that. So it's easier for you to actually deal with this, deal with your tears, you getting this, than to become the other person who can't drink and all this stuff. And like, oh yeah, you can't hold the liquor and all this stuff. Oh, coming up with an realize that all these situations are there. All these situations are there. And over time maybe none of it is wrong. That's you. But over time when you reach a certain point, you're gonna realize that just like in the adult world, you have to if you're working here and stuff like that. Even if you're doing a simple job, don't worry about this stuff. You need to need to actually come in and take you serious. Like, oh, you have to do your job well and all this stuff. You have to come in and take your role serious. Yeah. Because you know the goals that you're trying to achieve. So every simple thing that you're doing, even if it's so lame and all this, it's actually reinforcing building up your career. You got this kind of reinforce your career. So if you see, like I said, like me, because and all these people, these people and all this stuff, to see them coming and giving that picture of people. And for example, you say, oh my God, you see me, you want to live in that picture, see me, you see me living that picture of people. Is that I take, first thing I establish who I am and be like, oh, I'm going to live on that balance. Like every time I go, you anti this. Like just like, oh, you want to be good, you know, this. Every time, everywhere you go, 'cause even the university days, you're gonna have the same thing. Oh, so how we gonna choose? Well, how we choose? How we choose? Live and die by this and all this stuff. So going on, how we choose. But once after go on and how we choose this, you're gonna realize that, oh, there are things there to cater towards what you want. So like the tissue thing is there for you if you're okay. So, okay, yeah, you're always gonna choose a nerd part. You know, nerd part. No matter what you have the nerd, like the cool nerd and all these stuff, like, oh, you can always choose a nerd part. Hey, you're that person, you know, it's a friend and all this stuff. There's after things there for you. The after things there for you. Or just that the thing there. I'm gonna get you smaller and smaller and all this stuff. But you know, these are episodes to see coming up the blessings, their blessings in disguise. Their blessings in disguise, even the worst situation. Even the worst situation. Sometimes I'm record this podcast and be like, oh my God, the backyard and all this stuff needs to be done and all this stuff. Slowly but surely you may not realize it and the community is coming up in my backyard and all this stuff. But yeah, slowly but surely they are underrated blessings at each level. Underrated blessings at each level. And for some reason people coming out and see you living your and that's something that coming up. Then I realize that even if you're living your dream life and all these stuff, it's a bubble. It's a bubble. Like you're living your dream life. In reality, when I go out It's a bubble. It's a bubble, and the cool people are there, and it's like, oh, that. But doing the stuff, at least your bubble is made. The bubble is made, and maybe somebody else. Oh yeah, that bubble is good enough. We try, we try, we try and try. So that's the funny thing about coming up about the blessings where the like evil every situation that you are there, you're gonna realize the more you go, there's actually something there for you. Like for example, when you the tears coming up, coming up, I would actually be watching the movies and be like, oh my god, people are so tears and all these stuff. It become hard, if you live long enough, become harder and like, oh yeah, I don't find fun. Hey, these premium tissues will be the will save you sometimes, save you. Be like, oh yeah, I can try and get some tissue and all this. So that's the funny thing about coming. Where be like, these things, these stuff are there. But it doesn't, you wouldn't see them if you actually wasn't doing the first thing, which was establishing who you are. Just like, for example, I said, record the podcast, I'm recording podcast now and all this stuff. And then I did listen to that. Kinda, I still don't get the person and all this stuff. You hear the fun in the background and all this stuff. Funny enough, the, as I said, just after doing everything, just the fun in the background is a privilege that I can afford to do. That's the funny thing about Jamaica, 60 and a 20 and stuff. You have people you say they walk in you while turn on the fan and stuff. So maybe even stuff. 5 8. You never know. One month I may have to can be affordable. So the luxury to try all these things, you're gonna realize that that's the thing about actually reaching. The funny thing about actually reaching, fa- going past the path where seeing the better life, is that you're gonna realize that those funny stuff that those people is a luxury they work for. It's a luxury they work for a long time. And those stuff are actually luxuries. Luxury to use this to cry. Hey, luxury to use this to cry. Like, hey, who know? Maybe during that time at my grandmother going to other people's funeral. She don't even have the luxury of out there, so not your time, but using a picture. So suppose they talk that way, so I can use this to try and shed my tears. But hey, yeah, in our time we could live with it. And we could live with it. So these stuff are blessings for me. These stuff are blessings. Just like the podcast and everything. When I actually start out in the real adult world, when I realize that doing stuff like a podcast and all this stuff is a blessing. I realize I go to the streets. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. The, just like the podcast is a bubble. When I go out in the streets, I see the real stuff. I see the real stuff. I see the real stuff. But that doesn't mean you're not supposed to go and not try to do the podcast and so on. It's best to say that in real life, if you see this living that full version life, see the full version life on screen and in real life and all these stuff is because we took the time to maintain both the physical and virtual and all this stuff. We sort out everything like that. And these simple things would make what would be coming up is coming up out of your time and slowly but surely coming up now the journey is there. The journey is there. So you're living that life, living that successful life. At some point there were high successes, there were shortfalls again with everything. Just like when I record an episode, I get record, I record something and they after something I record. So just to conclude that. But I say, with everything, there's high points and there's low points. Even in high school, university, adult life, and everything like that. It's high and low, high and low, and you can try to go out and try to reach the reach do the world and I do the worldly things. Worldly things. The worldly things are doing and nothing is stopping you from reaching the world things. The actual doing it. That's the funny thing about the podcast. When you actually listen to the podcast you realize that hey, this is a bubble stuff. It's nothing in the bubble. This is nothing in the bubble. You can actually make way more money doing other stuff, other things like but the podcast once it is actually fully implemented well and all this stuff is very sustainable. Very sustainable. You can actually double in the other stuff really easy and you sometimes maintaining the other level. You're maintaining the other level. So I'm doing the podcast now and all these stuff and some ways I'm somewhat still employed. That's it. We still have the degree, still the degree and all this stuff. So somehow our competency is here, still here. The podcast is maybe showing some aspect of our expertise, as well. So it's like it's taking it's a way for us to do what we want. We're taking it, but in the real world, bars and everything like that. The real world, the world stuff is actually there. It's actually there. You can do everything like that. So if you actually see the real, living the real life, see people idolizing all this stuff. The funny thing is that you have to slow the dopamine detox that episode of saying okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at and this is where I want to be. That first part of it is really and they have a negative thing with that. So it's like that first part of it is really um very powerful. It's very powerful in the sense that just by you writing those things down, you don't realize how much even if you don't achieve any of those stuff, no matter how you can write the most outrageous of stuff. Just by you writing those stuff down, you accomplish half of the race without you realizing. But the thing is that you're gonna realize in starting out, it's gonna take a while for you to reach finish. Like like you can come in now and listen to it and be like, oh, that now and it's like, hey, I wrote the thing like how many years now, and then to move from year to year, and it's like, it's easy for me to say that now in 2025, but are um, but coming from where I'm coming from, it's not the fact that it was evil, impossible. I was not that person. I was actually not that person. If you have to realize, if you need somewhat woke up and everything like that, and say, hey, woke up and all this stuff. It's not easy to be bulk up and recording a podcast. It's not easy to bulk up and you see me now with not the facial thing is not stuff like that. If you see me, for example, consistently, well, you see me also consistently getting video podcasts is now. So if you for some reason one day you see me just consistently dropping um and my facial hair just always clear and everything like hey, it did happen overnight. these stuff was things that we took our time to do, and then slowly but surely they click, and we just have a great day, a great session and everything like that. And what happens is that once you see, once people, like for example, people will see the lifestyle influencers and they like coming up. I see Gary V, and all these stuff. Some people are Josh, all these stuff episode. And then what will happen is that with some people, if you go out in real life and see them, they were not who they are and stuff like that. But, you have some of them now after God, and you see them, and you see them after living that life, and you see them after living that life out there in the real life, and you're gonna realize that they they didn't start out like that. That was the first thing. They didn't start out like that. They were slowly building up, and building up. But one day when everything clicks and you see everything running smoothly and all these stuff, and then people coming out and be like, "Oh, you're the millionaire with this and all these stuff. How did you get this and all these things?" And I say, "Well, do this and all these stuff." And then be like, "Oh, hey, we do it. We can tell you when we tell you these stuff is because our people coming out and saying every day we come in here seeing how it's a shape up, nice, nice shape up and everything like that and all this stuff. We can say, you weren't this before, you weren't this before. Oh, how dare you get this successful life? All these things like that. It was all these experience to say this, to say, hey, it takes some time and write down your thing. And then slowly but surely you will start living that life. And then what will happen is that when I say this, I see myself living that life, driving around in my car and be like, oh, the time that it will take you from moving from doing that to living that life, it's going to take very long. It's going to take very long, lot of ups and downs. Lots of ups and downs will be like, oh, yo, one time you doing the right thing. One time I'm also doing the right thing. Lots of ups and downs. And then be like, oh. But if you look, that's one episode of the lifestyle, 40 gentlemen. Yeah, like I said, each progress over time will come. Each progress will come, and you will wonder why did why are how is this person living that life? How are you living that life? And one thing living the life, but one thing making him sustain it is because the core principle, evil, when you're doing this stuff and you feel like you're not doing it and all this stuff, and the core principle was actually built into us. It was actually built into us to say that, and this was always to do that. This was always to do that. Even the worst days and everything like that. This was always the vision. This was always the vision. So sometimes you don't even know when the vision is going to come to life. And after be doing all kind of stuff. And then one day somebody will come out and see you living that life. And be like, okay, don't rush the process. That's those simple stuff. Don't 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 rush the process. Just take your time and your time will come. Even if it doesn't come, even if it doesn't come, it's better than zero. You gotta realize that. Sometimes if it doesn't come, you wasn't supposed to get it. That's the point of what if it didn't come, you wasn't supposed to get it. And all these stuff. All these things. And so these episodes I said, this is our podcast now. They were pointing down to the record that one. To the record that one. And now it's this why I see video podcast. You see a video podcast right now and you're like, oh my god, look at this person out here so with a fluffy haircut here. I need to realize that for many times in the book, a good while they were just hearing my voice. A good while they were going to see my voice. You know, I possibly see a face. Then over time if you can you coming up, you come so you always be like, oh I tune into your podcast and then one day and then coming up. What happens is that when you have to come up you say, forget these critiques, you're gonna see these critiques and be like, oh what kind of haircut and all these stuff and those stuff are kind of rich man and poor man and all these things. But you have to remember that when we were actually recording podcasts, we're doing audio alone. Then you see video podcast, see my face. Then now the critiques we have. Remember the time we did we had fans and all this stuff, but we did it and we were so free. We get the fans, but we were so free. We were not this person. We weren't this confident with recording the episodes. So we recording the episodes now somewhat this confident and all this stuff. And we get the for you audience are listening and be like, oh yeah, I want to record a podcast now and this stuff and I reach this point and I get the people coming out and say, hey, look at this stuff and you effective. And then you the person, you're gonna do this podcast coming out of poverty, you're gonna spend like 1,000 go out in the streets, cut your hair, come record some episode and nobody gonna listen. Because I got one comment and then I realized that for a while. In the end of the day, that 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 haircut was not worth the progress of you or the thing across in the face. Like, no, so hey, no, we get the comment, of saying, hey, start out this haircut situation. Yeah, now we're gonna work on that. Now we're gonna work on that. Seriously work on that now. Then one day now you see what's coming up. And that's the point here about the podcast and with everything. You're not here coming up and see your success. They see slowly but surely a little kinks in your armor picking up and be like, yo, this kink and all this stuff. And keep telling you about the kinks. Those kinks are hard. Alright, but what happens is that the core thing about the next episode, lifestyle inflation. We're gonna take those critiques and be like, oh yo, let me go spend some money to do this stuff. To get the best episodes and all this stuff. Boom bang stuff. And you don't recoup none of those guys. You don't recoup none of those guys. Because the fundamentals weren't here. You didn't have something to fall back. If you come in and say something like, hey, I went in all in on this and all this stuff. If for some reason one day you hear me say something like that, I'm going all in on this and all this stuff. Because I put in all the fundamentals to say that, hey, the core fundamentals was there. So all that stuff were the core fundamentals. So that's the point thing with everything. Sometimes I'm recording episodes and be like, oh well, we living, we're not making the progress. We see the people that are living the progress. See people that are driving around with cars and all these to go up and down. We didn't. It's not our time to get it yet. So what is that? Once the thing is actually get it. But once we get it, funny enough, just like funny enough, seriously, even this iPhone is so shocking. It's so shocking. To this day, I can look at the iPhone and be like, oh well, using the core principle, this iPhone is actually mine. Oh, you see the logo change and everything like that. That's actually our logo. That logo there is actually ours. These are the simple stuff. And funny enough, I see this tissue and all this stuff. I'm going to about this tissue and all this stuff because I work on getting the family and all this stuff on board. And I see also using this tissue and all this stuff. Hey, they're not gonna kill me because I'm not able to kind of use this tissue. Because hey, I took the time to actually check out all these stuff to say, oh, wow, I see you using this tissue. Hey, they're not gonna kill me and all this stuff. It's somewhat fast the words of those fields where they won't kill me for this. They will kill me for something else. they got, I can't do that thing. They gotta kill me for something else. But hey, they're not gonna kill me for this. I kill me for killing me. You are the fear issue, this thing that I'm coming on. So that's the funny thing coming up here to see us living that life, that very kind of life. The world of the world is what is the four principles. The four principles unintentionally is just intentionally is just coming down, and then it's work, then it's working and it's like now we see we living that life. And it's like well we, we were working towards it. We were working towards it. So that's the funny thing. So we hear these episodes now about this. Like this was the thing. But this was the thing that I was explaining. But you actually come see there are a lot of progressive there. You're like, oh yeah, one thing you can do that see critique. Oh my god, you see you're so toppy there. And I was like, I see that people. Look at these people. As I said, that's the this they always did not keep clean. I think after when they always keep clean. People are coming out and be like, yeah, back in the days where I used to eat a lot of curry there. And people are always doing it. But for some reason, it's not as real as it was. It's not as real as it was. And maybe I still eat less curry and all this stuff. But for some reason, still, it's not as high cancer. While we are doing this stuff, maybe it's not as real as it usually. So you see, we are just living that life slowly but surely. Every time I see me record the video, I just saw people coming like, oh my god, look at that $1 billion food there. It's because and they see consistently every day. It's because we slowly work on it. We work on it. We can maintain it, and then we can get a better version of it. So just like this, I just like getting the $1 billion food. um, Slowly but surely we took the time and just sort out that figure out the $1 billion food style. Then we go and we get consistently. Then we just get the consistently convenient. And then it's like, oh, now we start living that life. And it's like, oh, we were taking our time to come out of these stuff. We were just taking our time to come out of these things. And the we are taking our time to come out of these stuff. And each situation, if we live with each quality thing that we have, we learn is due to this stuff. And all the critiques and everything like that is due to this stuff. I say, okay, yeah, we did this. And then because we can do this now, we can from there to do something else. So like if I gave it to the podcast for the version now and stuff. Simple things like this that hey, they kill us for hey, coming out and kill us for and all this stuff. You take the time to see what someone went on and stuff. To see that they not in the real world will come in and kill us for it, but we can actually move over and do stuff. These are the points of about we were the going out and killing us, killing us every day, killing us every day. But we are slowly making the progress, slowly making the progress. So that's good for this episode. I said with the fun, people listening right now is killing us. It's gonna be killing us every day. Every day they hear the fun and something else in the background. Yeah. If you're not, this is recorded in, I don't know, I think days I see but this is recorded in the summer. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot here. So yeah, it can get hot. It's very hot. So, it's very hot. So, coming up, the, the fun is really important to keep us cool. That's a really good experience for us. That's actually a really good experience for us to keep us alive. For us to keep on doing this stuff at high quality. At high quality. The fun is important. When you actually reach a certain level of oh yeah, fun is important. But I understand, hey, yeah, it's fun and important. Just like drinking the water and everything like that can be really important. But it's not the fact that previously, previously, if you know me, I would say, okay, I don't care about all these stuff. I don't care about doing these things and all these stuff. But because we're coming up now, we are going to do these. Because we're coming up now, I'm making some traction now. You know, seem to care about it. You know, it's like shaking up and everything and all that. And it's like, yeah, hey, it's because if you see me keep on doing this stuff and keep on doing this stuff, it's because as I talk about reaching each level and maintaining the level is the next goal. Each level that you reach, you have to and re-establish and re-establish the level, re-establish the level. So what happens is that, for example, you see me driving around and all these stuff, you're gonna see if and these are the real stuff where they like sometimes you get the car and the car costs you like 2 weeks of 2 weeks of good here and all these stuff. And because you get the car and all these stuff, people will be like, oh yeah, there's 2 weeks of how much here that you did it, get to shoes and it's like, oh yeah, killing us. It's killing us. Those things are terrible. Are terrible. But once you get the shoe book back and everything, like, what happens that you realize that get the car, you get the house, and then you go back in the shoe. So those are the things where each level, sometimes the each level, the goal is to actually be able to maintain the level. The struggle is to get the level. That's the funny thing. The funny thing is to actually get the level, then maintaining the level. Then when you can maintain the level now um, and then look someone good doing it and all these stuff, then what happens is that then a new level will come. And then you have to re-establish using the core fundamentals again, and all this stuff. And then go back and looking down, go back looking down again and it's like, oh wow, and get the same critique again. Get the same critique again. But you're doing the same thing again and again. But in real life, people see me in the same place. People see me in the same, same place, in the same, have the same tendency. They see me doing it, have the same tendency. And it's like, because we're taking the time, my lifestyle, I doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. You have to work for it. It doesn't come overnight. You have to put in a lot of work. They won't give you and all these stuff. But at the same time, once you actually get it, it's worth it. It's worth the living. It's worth the living and all these stuff. And funny enough, the funny enough about the last one is that once you actually reach it, it's another trade-off. It's another trade-off becoming a kind of like, the fun and joke. The fun and joke is that even though you're getting the fun and jokes, is that to the right people, they see you seriously. So that's the funny thing about most of the stuff here, just taking your time establishing the core fundamentals and the and the like, but when you put it down, they did the work. It take a while. It take a long time, but once it start out, for some reason, they hear all the flops and all this stuff, but once you get it, it's, it's there. It's there forever. It's there forever. So that's the funny thing about most of these things. If each of these stuff, you will see this thing coming and this thing coming, you'll be like, oh my god. And funny enough, this thing actually saved me a lot of experience. That I had growing up or stuff like that I experienced in real life. That one thing just saved me a lot of those experiences coming up. And if you come somebody listening and be like, how do you know that? I don't get that. And then just nobody ever having that issue. And it's like, oh wow. Wow. And it's like those are the fun things coming up. Those are the fun things coming up. Where the underrated privilege that people don't see. So you're also living that privileged life and be like, and it's like, yeah. Free works. You took some time to actually reach this level. You know, it's a long line. Took some time to reach this level. And, and you have to be grateful. But, that's basically for this episode. Thank you for
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter @ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.